I got better things to do tonight than die. Hey everybody, what's happening? I'm back with another film review for you. It's the 40th anniversary of Transformers the movie. So I'm going to talk about this film that was hated by critics but loved by fans for the most part. 40-year-old spoilers, obviously. If you haven't seen Transformers the movie, I'm going to spoil it. You've had 40 years. Catch up. Okay, so this film, directed by Nelson Shin, great director, works on The Simpsons these days. It was written by Ron Friedman, with story supervision by Flint Dille. It stars a whole bunch of talented people. It stars, well, I'm not going to do this in alphabetical order like the film does, okay? I'm going to do it properly. And the film stars Peter Cullen, Frank Welker, Chris Latta, Greg Berger, Neil Ross, Sue Blue, David Mendenhall, Lionel Stander, Robert Stack, Judd Nelson, Leonard Nimoy, Eric Idle, Corey Burton, John Machida, Orson Welles, and a few more voice legends in small roles, like the late great Jack Angel and the late great Don Messick. It was released back on August 8th, 1986, and it was considered a box office flop, and many critics hated it. They gave it their worst score possible, calling it a 90-minute toy commercial and an animated vehicle for violence and destruction. Well, they were a little bit right, I guess, but they did miss the heart of the film. There is heart in this movie. Parents, they were really confused about the story because they hadn't really seen the show, and the film does assume the viewer knows the lore already. Like, you already know who Optimus Prime and Megatron are. But a lot of people didn't when they took their kids to these things. So, it was really only kids that knew these characters and who they were and why it mattered so much when they were killed off. Some kids did cry about Optimus Prime's death. I got a little misty-eyed when I saw it in the theater. You know, Several of the Autobots do die, of course. Prowl's death, in fact, was almost as sad as Optimus Prime's death, but but I didn't really carry that emotion all the way home or anything. I didn't lock myself in my bedroom for 2 weeks because Optimus Prime died. Geez, talk about overreacting, kids. But then, I was 8 years old when I saw it, and I was old enough to understand death. Now, because of complaints about the crying children, they actually changed the death of Duke in G.I. Joe the movie to a coma. The following year, the G.I. Joe the movie was supposed to go to theaters, and it just went straight to VHS because Transformers the movie didn't do so well financially. See, no one could really die back on Saturday morning cartoons or after-school cartoons. They were meant for kids, and they weren't meant to be so serious that they dealt with death. However, a lot of characters can die in a feature-length film, especially if it's rated PG. To give the story more emotional weight. That's what deaths do in any story, is it gives the story more weight. But I guess it was too heavy a weight for some young hearts at the time. There was also one S-bomb that Corey Burton's character, Spike, he utters during the film, which was apparently that was an outtake. According to Neil Ross, it was Corey Burton being frustrated with flubbing his line. So he says, "Oh shit!" And then that just added to the PG rating, I guess. It was removed for UK releases, but they've kept it in for today's release on DVD, Blu-ray, however you watch it. You can actually watch Transformers the movie for free on YouTube if you want to. Now, in terms of the plot, yeah, pretty simple plot. Megatron, the evil leader of the Decepticons, he wants to eradicate the Autobots once and for all. So they attack their headquarters on Earth, and Autobot City is transformed to defend the good guys. Really awesome sequence. When all seems lost, Optimus Prime shows up to save the day, but he is mortally wounded by Megatron, and he dies, leaving the leadership, the matrix of leadership, to Ultra Magnus, who is not really a true leader. He's kind of like a red herring for the next leader. He doesn't really turn out to be the leader. We all know who does. The injured Megatron is betrayed by Starscream, who's been trying to betray him for years, and Megatron is found and remade by the planet-devouring Unicron. Kind of like Galactus in Fantastic Four. He eats worlds and he can change beings into becoming more powerful beings. The leadership of the Autobots falls to Hot Rod by the end of the movie as he Proves that he's not just this, flashy screw up of a young Autobot. He's actually a very capable leader by the end. And Unicron is destroyed when he opens the Matrix. And You Got the Touch comes blaring out in perfect 80s fashion. Hot Rod is now bigger and he's called Rodimus Prime. I was never a big fan of that name. All right, so in terms of my opinion of the film, yeah, I got two views on this. One is subjective, my inner child basically, and the objective, the adult Neil's opinion. So, subjectively, I loved this movie as a kid. I loved it to death. I still enjoy it as an adult, even though much of it is a guilty pleasure, certainly. These characters, they mean a lot to me, and it's mainly because of the actors behind them. If you watch the show, if you watch the movie, you'll notice that the voice acting is really a notch above the average kind of Saturday morning cartoon acting. Sometimes, right? Sometimes it's brilliant, sometimes it's just sufficient. But no, the Transformers, they were more than just brilliant toys from Japan rebranded by Hasbro. To me, the acting, the sound effects, the music and everything, they really brought the show to life. And Marvel and Sunbow, they really did go above and beyond just making a simple toy commercial, every week, or in this case, a 90-minute one. So yeah, as a kid, I loved everything about the film, all the carnage and interesting new characters like Cup. I really like Cup's voice, Lionel Standard. It's a really, really great kind of like, old timer. That's something you'll never live to be if we don't get back to the city. I just love that voice. And the only new character that I hated was Wheelie. I don't think I'm alone on that one. His voice was very abrasive and annoying, rhyming dialogue. That was very common in the 80s. I think G.I. Joe's Roadblock did it better, or even Blaster rhymed a bit. And they didn't need another rhyming little annoying dude. But, why did they make him? Oh, more toys, of course. I do wish some of the storyboards made it into the movie to show respect for the character count. So many like Blaster, they just kind of disappear altogether. Aliens, the sequel to Alien, which came out the same year in '86, that movie had a perfect character count. Nobody was lost or disappeared. You don't wonder what happened to that guy. Like everybody was accounted for. No Space Marine just vanished. I really wish Transformers the movie included more characters so that we knew what happened to them, especially the 84, 85 lineup. Many did survive, but some were never mentioned. Some were cut out, of storyboards and things for the sake of time and whatnot. Of course, Jazz, Cliffjumper, and Bumblebee, along with Spike, they all survive, as does Soundwave for the bad guys, but otherwise, pretty much all the robots from 1984 are gone by the end of this movie. Still, thrilling battles and just so many cool changes, so many awesome deaths to these characters, really inspired my imagination for playtime as a kid. So, as a kid, I'd probably give the film a 9 out of 10. Now, one of my most prized possessions is this 20th anniversary DVD signed by about a dozen people who worked on it, several actors, along with story supervisor Flint Dilley, legendary voice director Wally Burr, score composer Vince DiCola, which is an awesome synth soundtrack, just like Rocky IV the year before, and singer-songwriter Stan Bush, of course, singing The Touch and Dare, and also the narrator, Victor Caroli, as well. He's the guy that did all the commercials, and he's at the beginning and I believe at the end of the film as well, where he's like, "It is the year 2005." That kind of a voice. Love it. Meeting all these great talents was an absolute honor, and yes, I'm gonna be buried with this DVD. It's so good. All right, objectively now, I'm gonna talk about this as an adult. Objectively, watching it now, it's easy to see the animation errors, and upon reflection, it really wasn't the best idea to kill Prime, right? Not just because of crying kids, but just even story-wise. Maybe a robot coma would have been better, something like that, where he's so damaged and he needs repair. If the Decepticons get the Matrix, and then Hot Rod gets it back, which does happen in the movie, let's say that still happens, but he returns it to Prime at the end instead, and Prime is then brought back to full strength, and he's back to being the leader of the Autobots. I think everyone, I'm just assuming here, but I think a lot of Transformers fans would prefer that ending. I still hate Wheelie. Uh, anyway, yeah, I mean, I just think that thanks to some great animated sequences by the director Nelson Shin, and all the acting performances are excellent here. In fact, you know, the audio side of the film, the acting, the sound effects, the original score by Dacola, and the songs, yeah, even Dare to Be Stupid by Weird Al Yankovic, all the songs were great. I thought the audio side of this movie is brilliant, and it really is the best part of this film. It's the story that suffers when watching as an adult. It's true, if you don't know much about Transformers going in, then it really doesn't do a great job of introducing them to a new audience. It's like watching The Empire Strikes Back before A New Hope, it's kind of incomprehensible that way. So yeah, some issues like animation errors, like the confusing who was Cyclonus originally. I'm going with Skywarp. I believe Skywarp was the original plan. Since Thundercracker was Scourge, I believe they wanted Skywarp to be Cyclonus, but they also put Bombshell the Insecticon in the same shot where Skywarp is transforming into Cyclonus. There's two Cyclonuses. Anyway, I won't get into it too much. Errors like color issues and things like that, they were often apparent in the TV show too. They were much more apparent in Transformers than G.I. Joe. Some Autobots in this film, they also appear after they're killed. There's a shot at the Battle of Autobot City where you see Ironhide fly by, and you're like, what? He's dead. Some characters, like Sunstreaker, they appear on Earth before landing with Prime in the shuttle. So, obviously, yeah, there's quite a few little mistakes here and there. And that's kind of par for the course for the 80s Transformers, unfortunately. But it's still a fun animated film about robots in disguise going through hell and then coming out of it victorious, but forever changed. Yeah, the audio side really saves it for me, I think. The film still rocks today, and even with an uneven script and a few errors, I still think it's a good movie. I still think it's a fun Transformers experience, and I'd probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10. That'll be my adult score. Now, the film is being re-released in theaters next month, called The Apology Tour, the 40th anniversary Apology Tour, with an extra chapter here. I don't know what this extra chapter is yet, but I'm really eager to find out. I'm in line already. I can't wait to see this in the theater again. What are your thoughts on Transformers the movie? Is it still better than most live action Transformers movies? Yeah, I think it is better than most of them. I mean, Bumblebee was pretty good, but most of those live action movies are just pure carnage and noise, and everything gets lost. There's not much heart in those movies, except for maybe Bumblebee. But there was a lot of heart in Transformers the movie, I thought. So, are you going to go see it in theaters next month? I hope that extra chapter really is worth it. So, thanks for checking out this quick little review retrospective on Transformers the movie. And I actually do recommend Oliver Harper. So look him up on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description below to his review retrospective on Transformers the movie, because it's longer, it's more comprehensive if you want to know more. Definitely check out Oliver Harper's channel. And until next time, till all are one.